Hey Theo, look at all these flowers. Every color, the shape, its patterns, they're created by nature's genetic code.
And beyond beauty, plants like these tell us how agriculture depends on biology, from how crops grow to how they manage stress like droughts and disease.
But what if it could help the nature go further? What if science could boost how well the plants grow, how they use the resources, how the farm produces food overall?
That's exactly what synthetic biology is doing. It's a powerful tool that lets scientists redesign living things, especially plants, to improve agriculture production.
And in this video, we'll be exploring about how synthetic biology can improve the agriculture in our life, and to what extent how the improvement can influence our life in today and in the future.
So, what is synthetic biology? In simple terms, it's when scientists redesign the DNA of a living thing, like bacteria, animals, or plants, to give them a better trait. You can think of it as a programming life using biology. A common example in our daily life is insulin. So scientists, instead of getting it from pigs, scientists insert the insulin gene into the bacteria, which functions as a factory to produce insulin more cheaper, faster, and efficiently. But synthetic biology isn't something brand new. It has an important history. In 1961, the scientists discovered how to turn the genes on and off, which helped them to control the gene activity. And in 1970, they discovered a restriction enzymes, which allowed them to cut DNA at a precise location. And in 2012, the Cas9 changed everything. It is a fast, accurate, and affordable way to edit genes, which made synthetic biology even more powerful.
Now that you understand what synthetic biology is and how it's used in agriculture, we're going to dive into how it's used in agriculture productions. To test this, we came up with a testable question: to what extent does the use of synthetic biology in agriculture improve crop production? And to be neutral, we came up with a hypothesis: the use of synthetic biology in agriculture has no effect on crop productions. Instead of doing our own research, because it takes a lot of time, we use other reliable resources and research to do this. To track this impact, we set the independent variable as the year, the dependent variable at the market size in the USD, as you can see here, the X and Y axis. And for the control variables, we had the growth rate, which this stands for the synthetic biology usage, stay constant. The measurement unit was USD, and the type of data analyzed was also stay constant. Now we're going to talk about synthetic biology and how it works in agriculture, and three major techniques that stood out when doing this research. Firstly, we're going to talk about metabolic engineering. This technique changes how a plant uses energy. So if it's in a tougher environment, it can change how it uses energy so it can be more efficient. Next, we're going to talk about bio-based fertilizers. Basically, bio-based fertilizers is just instead using chemical fertilizers to use helpful bacteria that live in the soil. For gene editing, as we talked about before here, it's just editing. It's like taking tiny scissors and editing parts of the DNA so it can have specific genes, so it can have a more favorable chance of survival or benefit. So as you can see, this is how, as you can see, and this is an example of biofertilizers, and the soil, you can see it here. The result tells us is that from 2023 to 2032, there's going to be a 1,510% increase. Although there's a 36.9 synthetic biology usage every year, this because although it's constantly going 36.9, the increase gets bigger each year.
To wrap up our project, we looked at what our research actually tells us about how synthetic biology affects agriculture production. So, based on the data, we found that the market for synthetic biology in agriculture is expected to grow by approximately 1,570%, from 4.3 billion in 2023 to around $71.9 billion by 2032. That kind of growth reflects how effective tools like gene editing, metabolic engineering, and bio-based fertilizers are in helping plants grow faster, use nutrients more efficiently, and adapt to challenging environments. But it's important to keep in mind the limitations of our research. One major limitation is that the data reflects market growth, not actual crop yield or plant health. In other words, we know money is being spent, but we don't always know exactly how well the crops are performing in the real world. One thing that surprised us was the exponential growth. Even though the growth rate was steady at 36.9%, the total amount added each year got much bigger. But we also realized that in the real world, growth may eventually slow down because of the limits like land, water, and other resources. And for future considerations, here are some things that we can improve. Originally, we planned to research about health and ethical guidelines when implementing synthetic biology in agriculture. But we found out that most of the information available is based on predictions and just theories instead of the real-life examples or experiments. So next time, it'll be better if we could add a topic that's really tangible and can be applied to our real life better than health and ethical guidelines. Thank you.